Jadeveon, that's my Steve Spurrier. And the people, what up? Jadeveon Clowny is a Carolina Panther, and something tells me he's not going to be the last Gamecock alumni that's going to be joining in the next couple of days. Just a hunch. Watch Panthers post of Phil Perkins. Thanks for joining. Well, Jadeveon Clowny. He is a Carolina Panther. That broke in the middle of my shift. I was on the clock. I was out on location. I was like, oh my God, I want to go live so badly. But I'm in a company car and it just wouldn't look pretty. This, I think, looks a little bit more pretty. Reaction to Jadeveon Clowny. Number one, I did not know that this man is only 31 years old. I've been watching him since he laid out that Michigan player. And I think the Panthers, obviously, everyone knows that. This was trending before trending was a thing. This was viral before, sports viral things online was a thing. I think it was one of the first online viral things. Him just bursting through the Michigan offensive line. I think this was during the Brady Hoke era, and just laying out that player, and then just his helmet just popping off like in a cartoon. I think that was the first time I saw someone get popped so hard the helmet fell off. Produced everywhere he's been. I know this is like his 6th contract in 6 years with a different team, but hey, maybe he's just a mercenary. I don't know. Maybe it's the way it is. Maybe the fact that he's playing in his home state, home states, 30 minutes from home could make a difference. Josina Anderson tweeted out that she had just gotten off the phone with Jadeveon Clowney's wife, and they talked about how they are literally 30 minutes from their home. He's a Rock Hill guy. They talk about they lost a lot of people in their family, and this is where they do all their charity work during the off season, maybe during the season as well. And this just makes things so much easier. And they said the Jets really pushed, but the Panthers pushed harder. And at the end of the day, it's a good move for them to be closer to home. 30 minutes. When you visit North and South Carolina, it is pretty wild how you just cross the border in less than an hour and you're in a new state. Here in Ontario, it takes 2 days to drive west and enter a new province. It takes 2 hours plus to get down south, and then you're in New York State. So that'd be like in an hour, less than an hour's time, you're in a completely different state. It's pretty wild stuff. And so it's convenient. It works for the Panthers' favor on multiple reasons. It's not just one of those feel-good things. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get that feel-good story. Unfortunately, like when Cam Newton came back that one time during the Matt Rule era, this is not a feel-good story to sell jerseys. I think this is a feel-good thing that also adds some production. Next Gen Stats saying that the Ravens defense, so Mike McDonald running that defense, he was a guy who I thought the Carolina Panthers were going to make him the head coach. It's not going to happen, but either way, he had one of his better career years, statistics-wise, under Mike McDonald with the Ravens when he was defensive coordinator. The Ravens generated 6.9% higher pressure rate with Clowney on the field, and he generated 71 pressures last year. That's 29 more than any defender on the Panthers. Now, obviously, Ravens were a Super Bowl contender. They had the MVP in Lamar Jackson. Panthers 2-15. So very few defenders besides Derek Brown really deserved much. Like you look at those stats, kind of like you look at Bryce Young stats, you kind of have to look at the whole thing as a whole. So I'm not throwing shade at Brian Burns, but this is a guy who played better, statistics-wise, than Brian Burns did. And he is reasonably healthy last year. I believe he may have missed just one game. But Jadeveon Clowney, again, only 31 years old. He's productive. Had one of the more productive years under Mike McDonald. I think he's going to be even more productive with Ejiro Evero, especially with DJ Wonnum, who, again, is a large man, ferocious beast on the other side. This pound for pound could be a better defensive end pairing than last year's experiment of Justin Houston and Brian Burns. Will it be close to Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns? Maybe. Maybe they work out well together in the locker room. They put things together, and they can create something special on this defense. And we got him for 2 years. That'd be pretty sweet. Jonathan Stewart talked about it on Twitter. He said these are all great moves that the Carolina Panthers are making right now. He's liking them. There's one more free agent defensive move that he could see happening. We got Jonathan Jones kind of mentioning, Gamecocks that have played for the Carolina Panthers. He talked about now Jadeveon Clowney, and he talked about Stephon Gilmore, but then he had to reiterate it to change that tweet again, saying he's talking about the Stephon Gilmore time in the Carolina Panthers during the Matt Rule era, not talking about what could be tomorrow. But I think that can happen. He's a bit older. Now, Stephon Gilmore is 33 years old. I know when he left the Carolina Panthers, it felt like that was kind of like the Hassan Reddick situation where he didn't really want to. It didn't seem like it felt like his wife and his family were very much integrated in the community. How could you not? You're from here, from there. And then when they left, it seemed like they didn't really want to. But it was just a situation with the football team, and we all know how that GM rocked. Not great. But now you got Dan Morgan. I wonder if he makes that call and is like, hey, you know what? We messed up then. If that was me, I wouldn't have done it. Jadavion's come here. Why don't you guys, 2 Rock Hill guys, 2 Gamecock guys, you guys J.C. Horn and who knows what else in the future, Xavier Legette, I don't know. It'd be great for the community. You're great for the community, and you're also an elite player still. That mean the Panthers aren't rebuilding anymore? Because that was the sense that I was getting. You're letting guys go, mind you, these guys who didn't fit your format. Um, you traded away Brian Burns for not a lot, but he is one of your franchise guys, your face of the franchise. Those are things a team that is rebuilding scorched earth does. You fire the head coach, offensive coordinator, basically everyone on the offensive side. You fire the GM. This looks like a scorched earth, at least in the moment. But when that happened, but now, you're making these savvy veteran moves on the defensive side. You got a Deontay Johnson there who does something that none of the wide receivers do. You're filling those needs on the defensive side. You lose Brian Burns. You get DJ Wanham on a good deal. You get Jadeveon Clowny on a good deal. You lose Dante Jackson in exchange for Deontay Johnson. So now you got J.C. Horn. Hypothetically, let's say you get Stephon Gilmore. So you got a Pro Bowl level guy, another potential Pro Bowl level guy in J.C. Horn. You got Derek Brown, who I think they're not going to let go. I think they're going to sign him long term. You got A'Shawn Robinson. You got all these guys who have this, as we mentioned before, this connectivity with Ejiro Evero that it's almost like they can, even though they're new to the team, they can kind of hit the ground running. And so that almost covers the defensive side. Look on the opposite side of the ball, it's not really scorched earth either. Your highest paid player is now your guard in Robert Hunt and making $100 million. You spend another close to nearly $100 million on Damian Lewis to another guard. You got Deontay Johnson, who is unlike the other receivers they have in the field. You now free up some space in the second round of the draft, the 33rd, 39th overall pick, that you can add even more talent on the offensive side. This suddenly doesn't feel like a same rebuilding scorched earth. I know I'm saying drink every time I say scorched earth team that it was when the season ended and there was nobody left on the coaching side. They let Brian Burns go. And I think that was the moment that letting go of Brian Burns made it feel like, this is a complete rebuild, give this 5 years. But now you look at the defensive side and the pieces there and the position that they're in to potentially succeed and play almost at the same level, if not better than last year's defense. Because you basically replaced Brian Burns with like 6 guys at multiple different positions, not just at defensive end. And on the offensive side, you fixed the part that was broken the most, and that was the interior line. We'll see how Austin Corbett does as a center. You got at least one wide receiver that has a different skill set than everybody else. There's video now sent by Amir Smith-Marset working out with Bryce Young in Los Angeles. It doesn't feel like a team that is rebuilding. We have to give it 5 years because I think it seems like more than a team that's maybe a year away from competing, depending on who they pick up in the draft, what other pieces here. And again, this is also based on, do we think Stephon Gilmore is going to join the team? I think he is. But it feels like a team that is ready to compete still because the NFC South is still technically kind of wide open. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I think Atlanta Falcons fans, I think if you give them truth serum, they'll tell you they don't trust Kirk Cousins to play in a big game. And so while I think the Atlanta Falcons still favorites, I think the Panthers could be competitive. Yes. Put a caption here. I'm in the hopium right now. I'm double dipping on the hope, triple dipping on the hopium. No water, just swallowing it. Well, but I think that the addition also of Jadeveon Clowney allows the Panthers, as I mentioned like 2 seconds ago, more flexibility in the second round. With the 33rd overall pick, 30th overall pick, they don't necessarily have the pressure to pick up a Chop Robinson with a 33rd overall pick, or a Darius Robinson with a 33rd overall pick, or Adisa Isaac out of Penn State, not Iowa State. I feel like, and the fact that they haven't let go DJ Johnson makes me think that last year was like a redshirt year, and now he learned from Brian Burns. Maybe they didn't like him learning from Brian Burns. Maybe they wanted to learn from Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wanham and company. And then maybe he is like almost like a much older rookie defensive end again, like, a redshirt freshman in a way. And they trust him. And then maybe with the 33rd and 39th overall pick, and let's say there's a Xavier Worthy there. Let's say there's a Xavier Worthy 33rd overall pick. Boom, you pick him up. He is now your pseudo number one wide receiver. And then the 39th overall pick shows up, and you got it. Ladd McConkey is still there. Xavier Legette is still there. You know what? We're pretty set on the defensive side, and we like, because Ejiro Evero was in the room when they signed, and they traded up for DJ Johnson. He must love this guy, or else he wouldn't be on the team. We saw that. All the free agent pickups on the defensive side are all Ejiro Evero guys. And if he feels good about that and he thinks DJ Johnson is better than the defensive ends in this class in the second round, let's say Xavier Legette shows up at 39th and he's still there. Do you pick him up? You could, because the defense, you could double dip wide receiver. A lot of people see that. You got Xavier Worthy, who is the prototypical built, X receiver on the outside. Boom, there you go. And then you got your big muscle guy, kind of like Jonathan Mingo on steroids. Hopefully not. And you got them with Xavier Legette at 39. Or you get, hey, if Keon Coleman's there at 33 and then Xavier Legette, there you go. Or maybe, obviously, you can pick up in the corner market as well. As I mentioned, Stephon Gilmore is a bit older than Jadeveon. He's 33. So maybe you pick up a rookie corner there, maybe another pass-catching tight end. Just a lot more options now. The free agency builds into the draft. And the mock draft that I'm going to do later on is going to determine that. But I just think it's strange. Just it's funny how that signing has kind of changed the way this team looks from the outside, from being a team that we right now Vegas saying 4.5 wins. It could be higher than that. But let me know what you guys think about this move, about future moves. Is more pressure on Bryce now that the defense looks like it's doing its thing? Would you want the Panthers to double dip in the second round? Did you want them to mix it up a little bit? Get wide receiver, corner, offensive line, whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Peyton Wilson, maybe. Linebackers there. Juicy Jewel, Shaq Thompson. Doesn't sound too sexy to me. Maybe add a little Peyton Wilson in there as well. With 39th overall pick, I could see that happening. Stay tuned for that mock draft. In the meantime, make sure to like, subscribe, spread the word. See you guys soon.